Our series, we call it The State of Spirituality with Lisa Ling, explores people on very unique paths in their journeys of faith, religion, and of course, spirituality. So today, we touch on something that often makes a lot of people very uncomfortable. It's called silence. I know, just try it for a second. Stay silent for 10 seconds. It's hard. But the research shows that silence is physically and emotionally beneficial. Some say that prolonged silence can even be what they call a spiritual experience. Lisa traveled to Northern California to meet a group of people from various faiths and walks of life who are seeking to break from our very loud world.
Nestled in the rural hills of Northern California, not far from the hustle and bustle of San Francisco, it's nature that speaks the loudest at the Spirit Rock Meditation Center.
I'm going to ask you to do something that you've probably never seen on TV before. I'm going to ask you to stop what you're doing and just be silent. Feels good, right? Well, imagine doing it for 8 days.
This group of around 100 people haven't uttered a word in more than a week, and that's because they're participating in a silent retreat.
If you talk to any of the retreatants, they feel alive, and that's what that silence does.
Feeling the body after all that walking and movement.
Toire Sala is the retreat facilitator. She herself has participated in silent retreats as long as 3 months.
Why is seeking out silence so important?
I think that silence gives us our ground, gives us our center stability.
Post-pandemic, silent retreats are surging in popularity.
What would you say compels people to want to come and spend 8 days, or in your case, 3 months sometimes?
Yeah, that's right.
In total silence.
What compels us is suffering. But what keeps you coming back, retreat after retreat after retreat, is the realization that you can be out of that suffering, that you can be released from that mental pressure.
The benefit of silence isn't just anecdotal. Research shows silence helps lower blood pressure, cortisol levels, calms our thoughts, and can improve concentration and focus.
We have to learn how to find that stillness. You need it to know that you're moving through life in the direction you want to go.
That's exactly why Noelle Clark is here. She sat down with us shortly after speaking for the first time in 8 days.
How does it feel to be talking again?
I feel like my words are coming from a place like deeper inside, a more grounded place.
This is Clark's 4th silent retreat.
Why did you want to even explore this path of silent retreats?
I think I was curious about what could happen in silence. I'm always preparing for something, whether that's like the next phone call, the next email. I remember back then being like, what would it be like to like let all of that go?
But letting go was difficult. On her first night there, Clark received shocking news.
My teacher pulled me out of the dinner line to tell me that my mom had a heart attack. It was like a really bumpy start to the retreat.
Clark's mom ended up being okay, and after much reflection, she decided to stay.
Was that stressful?
It was difficult, and also it was really, I don't know, really healing, and just thinking about how we hold on to things, resentments, and none of that matters when you get that news.
For many retreat participants, the experience is spiritual. They spend their time reflecting and doing grounding exercises like meditation, all rooted in Buddhist practices.
Do you feel like transformation happened here?
Oh, yeah. Without it sounding like a psychedelic journey, a lot of healing and kind of working with the impermanent stuff around my mom, a lot of forgiveness.
For Clark, this retreat wasn't just about disconnecting from the outside world, but connecting back to herself.
What will you take back with you from what you experienced this week?
I hope to bring like this idea that that steadiness that I feel right now is accessible, like in any moment. to just be able to like go inside. Like, it's almost like going home.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Lisa Ling in Woodacre, California.
Everybody I know who has done it really comes away with something that they said was life-changing and was beneficial. It just seems like it would be hard for me to do. What about you?
I think, there's a concept in Zen meditation that says that silence is never empty, it's full of answers. And so, I adhere to that, but I don't know that I would want to do it with all these other people.
Could you do it, Nate?
I think I could.
You do?
And I would, yeah.
All right.
I'd like to try that.
Are
Psychedelic silence. Not silence as in awkward, not silence as in empty, but silence that alters perception. Silence that stretches time. Silence that changes how you experience God, yourself, and the world around you. Because here's the truth we don't talk about often enough. Some of the most intense spiritual experiences people describe don't come with sound. They come with stillness. And today I want to sit with why silence has always been sacred, even when it makes us feel uneasy. The truth of the matter is that most of us are uncomfortable with silence. We feel it with music, with talking, with scrolling, with sermons, podcasts, noise, even religious noise. Silence feels psychedelic because it removes our filters. When everything goes quiet, you start noticing things. Your breath, your thoughts, your fears, your faiths, and even the cracks you may have in it. See, silence doesn't distract you. It actually reveals you. And that's why it's always been dangerous, as well as holy. Biblically speaking, silence is never accidental. Scripture tells us, be still and know that I am God. Not talk, not sing, not explain, but be still and know that I am God. Elijah doesn't meet God in the wind. He meets God in a very still, small, quiet voice. Not in the earthquake, not in the fire. No, God shows up in what the Bible calls a still, small voice, or more accurately, a thin silence. That's psychedelic silence, a silence so thick it speaks. Even Jesus understood this. Before teaching crowds, before healing bodies, before going to the cross, he withdraws. He disappears into quiet. Biblical faith doesn't rush to speak. It actually pauses long enough to listen. Now, let's be honest. When people even think about the African American religious experience, they think about sound. They think about the shout, the hum, the moan, the call, and the response. But what they miss is this. Black faith knows silence intimately. Even enslaved Africans learned silence as survival. You couldn't always pray out loud. You couldn't always sing freely. You couldn't always speak your truth safely. So silence became sacred interior space. Think about how the hush harbor wasn't quiet because faith was weak. No, it was quiet because faith was being protected. And even today inside of Black worship, listen closely. Just before the organ swells, just before the preacher starts, just before the shout breaks loose, there's a pause. And that pause is theology. See, silence in Black faith isn't absence. It's actually this notion of anticipation. It's grief holding its breath. It's joy waiting for permission. It's God being trusted without explanation. Now, I want to bring this into the world we live into right now, because we live in a culture that demands constant commentary, an opinion on everything, a post about everything, a response right now about everything. Even faith has become loud. See, we confuse volume with depth. We confuse certainty with wisdom. We confuse speaking quickly with being right. And inside of contemporary culture, silence becomes resistance. It says, I don't need to perform my faith. It says, I don't need to monetize every thought. It says, I don't need to rush God. In contemporary religious thought, silence critiques shallow spirituality. It asks, what if God is not found in your next statement, but in your willingness to actually stop talking? Psychedelic silence shifts perception. It slows time. It deepens awareness. It disrupts ego. That's why grief often brings silence. That's why awe steals words. That's why some moments are too sacred to explain. Because silence stretches you until faith becomes felt, not argued. And sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is not understand, but just to stay. So here's your invitation today. Don't rush to fill the quiet. Don't fear the stillness. Don't assume silence means that God has left. Because what if silence is God's way of coming closer to you? Thank you for joining me at my desk. I'm Dr. Dandridge. This has been Sit With It. And I'm encouraging you today to sit with your silence.